What's up, guys? It's your boy Johnny Buck, and here on the I Hate Johnny Buck podcast. So this is my first one. I'm messing with it. So we're going to be doing everything we can to kind of make sure it goes as smooth as it is. But the big thing is I am running StreamYard. So it's my first one. I just want to kind of get gist of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start talking about I'm going to start talking about just catch wrestling. All right. So if you guys paid any attention whatsoever, fucking ever, you realize that Josh LeDuc just put on the Sapateiro invitation was for catch wrestling world title. Quentin Rosenzweig versus Curran Jacobs. He actually dethroned Curran Jacobs with a triangle and a knee bar, right? And the thing was, what's really different about this, what really kind of turned the catch world upside down, was Quint sat down for both of his matches. Like, it was best of three falls, and he sat down and he basically beat Jacobs. There was some controversy with how deep was the triangle, how did he cheat and have all this stuff, yada yada. But this is it's part of the rules. We know what the rules are. Actually, a lot of people didn't know what the rules were, but what we did was we knew the situation, and Jacobs popped a rib, which sucks. Every wrestler has that one rib that sticks out. So if you spend enough time wrestling, you will absolutely have that rib, and you understand how bad that is. But and it's just my humble opinion, I don't think it really mattered that much. At the time that his rib popped, he was in a really deep, bad position. I talked to Quentin. I was like, man, I honestly thought you were going to go to the arm bar from there. And he did not hit his back, got triangle. And there's some bitching about was he pinned, whatever. In most organizations, from what I understand, if you are in a deep submission, pins are not valid. Nor did I think that Quentin had both his shoulders flat on the mat for 3 seconds. So that's going to kind of, quick recap of that match. And that's what made me really want to do this, was talk about what modern catch wrestling and where is the future of catch. So this, it's just my opinion, my thoughts. I'm fairly active in the catch group. I'm one of the very few competitors who have actually done a catch match. So it's something in the United States, at least. So something I wanted to really talk about. I own a gym. I own Rogue Combat Club in Asheville, North Carolina, and we do teach catch, but we teach no-gi as well. And this is kind of the thing is, people, I want to come learn catch from me. I'm like, you really don't. It's not what you think it is. If you want to learn catch from me, you're going to go back to middle school and start wrestling. Because the thing about catch wrestling is it's wrestling first. And the biggest problem I have with most of catch wrestling is all these fucking pro wrestling moves that will never work in competition. It just, to be honest, that is what it is. So it, I wish you'd quit fucking driving by my house. So you'll see these situations where, they did, like, I hit the dragon sleeper. It's definitely a pro wrestling move, but it definitely works. I hit it at Worlds. I've hit it 4 or 5 more times in competition. So it's what up, Facebook user? I didn't mean to hit that button, honestly. So if you guys are watching live, please feel free to comment. I will address them either at the end or as we go. But so a lot of the catch wrestling is just these fancy show moves that don't really work in a lot of situations. And that's I'll give you guys the history of my catch thing later. But the thing is, a lot of catch wrestling is not wrestling or needs to be wrestling. So that was one of the biggest gripes, is that Quentin should have been disqualified for sitting down. And Josh Duke did an excellent job defending it. He goes, the glory about catch, the thing that is so great about catch is there's so few rules. And we're going to talk about the future of that here as well, what I think catch needs to do to be relevant. So quick thing, I've never been a huge sports fan. As far as getting back to catch now, I've never been a huge sports fan. I love doing sports, but I hate watching sports, even stuff I've been involved in. Like I didn't really get big into honestly anything. I didn't even watch football much until fantasy football, because there's money on the line. I played football. I hate baseball. I played baseball. I was terrible at it. I didn't watch wrestling. I didn't know who anybody was when I wrestled in college. I didn't know anybody. And the thing is, I just am not a huge fan of that stuff. I'm even less of a fan of history. I'm sorry. Meaning, I don't really care what Farmer Burns did. I don't care what Henry Colin did, because those things were different. And I will give you a quick history lesson. Billy Wicks, Pops, my coach, he was a carny. He was one of Henry Colin's guys and all that good lineage type shit, which also doesn't matter. But he was a carny, meaning he traveled around the country doing carnivals. And what happened was people would pay a nickel or a quarter or whatever, and if they had a chance to go in a ring, if they made it 5 minutes, they got $5. This is how Pops made his living. This is how the carnies made their living. So the odds of them letting you out, there's a reason it was brutal. The submissions, the crossfaces, is because it worked on untrained people. Okay. Yes, there were some good matches like Pops and Danny Hodge was a good one. There's matches. It works. People have matches for hours and hours, and nobody wants to watch that shit. You have 6 seconds to hook somebody now. There's zero chance. There's zero chance of you having somebody watch a match. Like when I had my match with Curran Jacobs, it was over 35 minutes. That was fucking boring as shit. I didn't even watch it. I hit a couple highlights because I want to see what happened, what I could have done better and whatnot, but that was what it was. So the history of catch is not going to be really that big of a thing because times have changed. You have to evolve or die. So if you want more history on catch wrestling, just go ahead and Google it. Check out Snake Pit, Scientific Wrestling, or whatever. Because what I'm going to do, and this is what I think we need to do as a whole, is we really need to focus on the current state of catch wrestling, which for me is mostly, I would say, internet trolls, right? And that's unfortunate, but the current state of catch is there is no catch wrestling. There's very, very few catch wrestling tournaments, maybe in the UK and whatnot, but in the United States, there's not. I've competed in quite a few just because I wanted to. And I'll be honest, the first 2 times I competed in the catch thing, I didn't train at all whatsoever. I was just a better grappler. I was a better wrestler. I was somehow in better shape despite doing no cardio. But that was the state of catch. And then I did get in shape for my match with Curran. Well, I would have died of a heart attack, but that was different. That was a big thing and whatnot. So the current state of catch is there really isn't a current state of catch. That being said, there's also not a current state of jiu-jitsu. And what I mean by that is in modern no-gi grappling, because I don't give a fuck about the gi. In modern no-gi grappling, the Gracie challenge is gone, right? The UFC Gracie's versus the world kind of thing, that's gone because you can't be a specialist anymore. Look at the UFC, which to me the UFC is the basic epitome of fighting. Very few rules. Ground and pound is legal, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, submission, strikes, kicks, boxes. It's the most pure thing outside of a street fight. So I think that is a big thing. But the Gracie challenge is gone. I'm 100% confident that I could have won UFC right now, get off the couch and win UFC 1 through 3 in my current lazy ass shape. And the reason is it was so new. It was so small and different. And here's my opinion on jiu-jitsu. Back in 1991, it was the first first curveball, meaning in baseball earlier, people threw fast or they threw slow. And then somebody figured out how to grab the laces weird and make it look like it's turning or whatnot. So that was the first curveball. And I'm sure it struck everybody out in the very beginning. But all of a sudden, people figured out how to hit a curveball. Like, oh, shit. Now you put a curveball in there, it gets hit 800 feet by Sammy Sosa and the steroids and corkback, right? So it was a beginning. It was new. There was really anything like that they had seen. So it makes sense that was different, all right? Now, that being said, you have to be well-rounded. Jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu. Let me explain UFC 1. A dude in a gi beat a guy with one goddamn boxing glove on. Dude had one fucking boxing glove because his idea, or one, whatever hand it was, because his idea was, I'm going to grab you with this hand and I'm going to punch you in the face with this hand. That was UFC 1. That is why I'm 100% confident I could fucking absolutely win that 1 through 3, right? Because the game is adapted. Now, and I don't care about Sakuraba beating all the Gracies. That's also ancient history. So here's my thing. What is the future of catch wrestling? Well, the future of catch wrestling is the exact same as the future of MMA and any grappling art. It's a blend, right? There is no pure jiu-jitsu. There's no pure wrestling. There's no any of this. And if we want to see catch wrestling grow, we have to understand that, right? And this is going to be an ugly truth. And I hope that Josh keeps doing these shows. And I hope that Snake Pit can get on board and keep doing these shows. But the future of catch is pretty much fucking very bleak because nobody wants to watch two old people fuck. And let's be honest, there are no high-level competitors in catch wrestling, with the exception of Quentin. And the thing about it is there's no future in and here's my point on blending with styles. The future is blending styles. Like wrestlers are learning jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is learning wrestling. Good thing for most wrestlers is wrestling super fucking hard and takes years and years and years to get decent at. So jiu-jitsu version is really fucking bad. Look at the Meow brothers in the finals of ADCC recently. It was fucking trash. I think one of the Meows lost in the finals because he couldn't take the other guy down, because the other guy couldn't take him down either. And I don't know what the situation was. I forgot. But yeah, so it's a blending of fucking styles. It's a blending of all these things. So and like Kirk said, it was never pure anything. You're right. Gracie was slapping people and shit. He was running Gracie self-defense. He was punching people, slapping people, all kinds of crazy shit. So the future is, and you look now, the UFC is no longer the Gracie Challenge. It's mixed martial arts. And realistically, all grappling, all martial arts is mixed martial arts because people take and borrow what works. The odds of my big ass playing rubber guard are very fucking slim. But the odds of me playing lockdown, which I completely stole from the 10th Planet system, which, I'm a 10th Planet brown belt, is a huge staple of my game, and I will play that. All right, they have a lockdown to old school. I call it All-American because that's something we did in wrestling, where we offset the knee, control the hip, all that good stuff like that. So there is no pure one style. Right? And Quentin, I think, said it best. He goes, when it comes to if we talk about the future of what's going to happen with catch, ADCC trials are going. I'm going. I'm going to compete. Quentin's going to go compete, and I think without a doubt, he has a much better chance than I do. I know that because I've trained with him. But the thing is Quentin going to be our modern catch wrestling champion? Is he going to carry the banner into ADCC and have a potential of winning trials, and then ADCC after that? No. Because, and here's why, and this is Quentin's quote, and I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability to win. I'm saying this is why, and this is a quote from Quentin. I am a grappler. I'm not a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm not a judoka or catch wrestler. I'm all of them. I represent the sport I am competing in. I would love to face Josh Barnett. It would be a serious honor. I got the throat slit thing I do at the end of all my matches from him. I still believe I would win. That is exactly what we're talking about. All right, this is coming from your catch wrestling champion. If you want to put that on him, he says he is blending styles, right? He knows that we all blend styles. The big argument over Kimura versus double wrist lock is fucking asinine. Why? Because most people argue and don't train. But that's the biggest thing is, there's no pure style anymore, right? I compete in a gi. I've won all but one match in a gi. I've never fucking trained in a gi more than a dozen times. Fucking not even that many. I've competed in a gi more than I've trained in a gi. And the thing is, I don't know what a spider guard is. I don't know what De La Hiva is, but I don't know any of this shit is. But I know what works physically, and I adapt my catch wrestling and wrestling style to that. I'm very top heavy. So that's just my thoughts on that. But really, guys, that's what I look at far as the future of catch wrestling. So a couple questions. The real question is, who is Curran training with? If he's not been exposed to guys who are leg locking with the current meta and on a daily basis, or passing their guards on a daily basis, then chances are you're going to be able to deal with that for the first time successfully. Yeah, I don't know who that was. It's just his Facebook user. But yeah, the thing about it is, yeah, if you've never seen it, that's true. That also being said, I've never seen most things in a gi, and people, I have a match. It's on my, I think it's online. It's on YouTube. I'll try and get it up. But I have a match on YouTube where I have no clue what this dude is doing, and you can see the perplexed look on my face because I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing to me in these pajamas? And I just decided to take his body and fold it like a fucking there we go. I take it and fold it like a fucking cheap suit. Why? Because I just know that that's where his body doesn't work. So yeah. So there is some truth to that, but it really comes down to understanding how it works. So I just posted a link to that YouTube in the comments. I don't know. I think it went to, I don't know where it went, honestly, but it's up there. So, but yeah, I think that's definitely true. Something, the first time you see something, it's going to be confusing. And I 100% agree that if you're not cross training, which brings me back to my point of blended styles, that you're going to have a really hard fucking time doing something along those lines. I agree wholeheartedly. Quentin sat to basically open guard, or sat to his butt to like a long distance butterfly type situation, which I'm a big fan of. I'm gonna tell you now, passing Quentin's guard is fucking hard. I had success with it once or twice, which just led to my demise shortly after when I was in Savannah with them getting ready for this. But this is the future of catch wrestling. The future of catch wrestling is grappling, is no-gi grappling, and I think that's super important that you guys understand that is the future, right? I highly recommend, and this is crazy for me, I highly recommend if you have the opportunity to train in a gi. I highly recommend that you train wrestling. I highly recommend you train every fucking thing you can do on the mat. If you can get on the mat and do it, you should fucking do it, because I think that is going to be exponentially beneficial than sitting on a fucking forum and running your mouth about how good catch wrestling is and how if so-and-so could have slammed so-and-so, it would have won. Listen, we know for a fact that the top catch guys aren't competing. The top catch guys are not competing at the top of the world, with the exception of fucking Quentin. And like he said, he is not a catch wrestler. He is not a judoka. He is not a jiu-jitsu guy. He's a fucking grappler. And I think that's the mindset that we need to make shifting catch wrestling forward. So what is my solution for catch? My rule is don't bitch about something unless you have a solution. That's something that I think is super necessary. So here's my thoughts on if we want to keep catch alive or keep catch doing this thing, is we have to understand where it is. We have to understand that shit is bush league at best. I'm not knocking Curran. He's a phenomenal wrestler. He beat me in catch. But that is if that's the best we have to offer, then we got seriously exposed. From a catch wrestling standpoint. So we have to understand where we are. I don't think we should have world championships. Why? Because, well, do we deserve them? Do we have enough fans to even have a world championship? Do we have enough competitors to have a world championship? Ian Jones, another phenomenal fucking competitor. One of the very few active catch guys. He's also older, but he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he competes in everything. So he's another one. Again, I didn't ask him, but I wouldn't say that he calls himself a catch wrestler either. I'd say he says a no-gi grappler or a gi grappler. He's just a grappler in general. I think that's a big thing that we really need to talk about is, what status it is. We can't be the Pee Wee football champions and challenge the Super Bowl. We just can't. Like, oh, we're world champions. You're fucking 8-year-old. You won a football game. You only played in your little small town. You don't get to be world champions. I think that's something that we really need to be humble about with the catch and realize it's going. I also think we need to realize that catch wrestling is boring as fuck. And until we get some exciting athletes, it's going to be boring. Even college wrestling is boring as fuck, and they have some great scrambles. I think until we get some higher level guys who are super exciting to watch, it's going to be a hard time. Now, here's my solution, just like what Josh Leduc did. Leduc did. All right, he put catch wrestling in and around something that's drawing eyes already. You're not going to get catch wrestling in the UFC. You're not going to have an undercard catch wrestling match. It's not going to happen. And honestly, I don't recommend you put it in MMA shows. Why? Because MMA's fucking fans suck. All right. I've been to a ton of jiu-jitsu shows. I've been to jiu-jitsu like super fights and tournaments and shit. The thing is, the fans in MMA are trash. They're uninformed. They want to, which is strange to me. They want to watch guys stand and bang, but they don't want to watch kickboxing. It's really fucking strange to me. Yeah, Vernon Kurtz. Well, new rule: if it happened before 2010, you aren't allowed to talk about it as relevant. I think that's a very fucking solid point. I think 2010 maybe a little bit far back, but for catch, I think you're 100% accurate. I think that's super important because it's not relevant. What happened in 1904 is not relevant now when it comes to catch wrestling in sports because things have changed so much. Exactly agree. I don't think even the rules when I wrestled in high school, right? I wrestled freestyle and Greco in high school. The rules were so different and the sport was different. They almost got rid of fucking wrestling in the Olympics because it's boring as shit. So they made rule changes. I think that's one thing that catch wrestling really needs to do if they want to move forward. So that's one thing I would do. I would realize that, hey, we're not the top of the ladder, all right? I don't think we should try and pin a catch wrestling flag in Quentin's ass because it's not going to work. He said himself, he is a grappler, and he represents the sport he goes in. I 100% agree. I've done belt wrestling, gi, no gi, sambo, all kinds of shit. And because of my grappling background, it allowed me to do really well. That being said, I think it's time for us to realize where we are from a catch wrestling community. So I think we should do catch matches. I think we should do some traditional catch matches. I think we should also implement a rule system that has points and creates action. Exact same thing wrestling did, exact same thing judo did to stay alive. I think it's, even if it's like ADCC, part of the time is points, part of the time is not points. New Breed does that. It's really good. So I think it's super important that we have something to keep the pace because fucking stalling's boring. I can't stand the gi because it looks like two old people fucking. It's just terrible. They stand there. They don't do a goddamn thing. That's a big thing. So appreciate you guys watching the first podcast. If you need anything, please reach out to me as always. If you want to buy some cool shit, IHateJohnnyBuck.com. My podcast will be on there. All kinds of stuff I'm putting on there. And then RogueCombatClub.shop. There's an I Hate Johnny Buck section where you can buy t-shirts, you can buy gear, and all that good stuff. So, again, appreciate you guys watching this. If you need anything, please reach out to me, and I will have this up soon. All right, later, guys.